Hey everybody, welcome to DesignerCon 2024, our first time ever in Las Vegas. I'm joined with Ben, the founder of DesignerCon.
Hello,
Ben,
hello.
when did DesignerCon start?
So DesignerCon started in 2005
Okay.
in Pasadena, and originally it was called Vinyl Toy Network.
How many years was it called that for?
It was called Vinyl Toy Network for 4 years. And the reason it was called Vinyl Toy Network is because I really like vinyl toys, and it's like it was a show about these toys, and it sounded cool, the name sounded cool. But what happened was, after running it for 4 years as Vinyl Toy Network, and having all the people that were involved in the vinyl toy scene, we're like, hey, how do we get everybody else? How do we get the guys that make the prints and the clothes and the resins and the customs and the plush? And they were like, whenever we would approach them, they would be like, hey, we don't make vinyl toys. We're like, yeah, but it's still part of your community. So in 2009, I decided, okay, we gotta rename the show. And I renamed it to DesignerCon because it's everything, all aspects of the design. And the first year, in 2009, it was Vinyl Toy Network presents DesignerCon.
Bridge year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like VTN, because everybody knew VTN. And our mascot at the time was this little character, this little boy character created by artist Christopher Lee. And his name was Vinny. Vinny, Vinyl Toy Network. And that's how it tied in. When we changed to DesignerCon, it was kind of like the show grew up. We're stepping outside of just toys. We're now into apparel, we're into prints, we're into all this. And Vinny grew up too and became our current mascot, Vincent.
Who I always thought was supposed to be you. I always thought it was a little bit.
No, Vincent is Vincent's created by artist Scott Tolleson.
Yeah, very talented guy.
Amazing guy. He created him based on, I think, it's like a mix of me and one of our friends, George.
Yeah.
George Gaspar at the Four Horsemen booth. I don't know if you can hear me, George. But I think it's a mix of us. But the idea is that Vincent is a collector, like all of us, and he loves toys and he loves art and he loves collecting. And if you guys saw the animation happening in front of the hall, thank you to Apartment D for making that. The whole idea is that Vincent goes around the world and he loves collecting these things, and that's what DesignerCon's all about.
When I first heard about the DesignerCon, I was trying to wrap my brain around what would a DesignerCon be. And I was thinking more in an academic way, kind of like a more independent Adobe Max, about actual design, like the process of. So when I walked through the door, I was like, oh no, it is the sort of hip on the street level version of design, like design as an application, and more importantly, design as a lifestyle.
Correct.
And I knew I immediately had found, I never really felt like Comic-Con was my thing. And when I rolled through DesignerCon, I'm like, this one feels just right.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because a lot of this happened because of the alienation and ostracization, that's a word, of these vendors from shows like that.
Right.
It was getting harder and harder for artists, independent toy makers, the international toy guys to have an actual event to go to. At one time, and I've been going to San Diego Comic-Con for over 20 years, and I love that show. But I realized that it was getting harder and harder and harder and harder for my friends that are on the floor to get a booth. I mean, shit, I even have my own store, and it was nearly impossible to get a booth. And Comic-Con has kind of made itself into entertainment con, and that's great, and it's extremely fun to go to that show. But this community was very alienated from it, and that's how DesignerCon came about.
It was a really smart move to patch that gap in the industry. Because I think you're right, because when you do go to the bigger cons, once those became part of the entertainment hype machine, it squeezed out the little guy.
Yeah.
And I always kind of feel like those are about, what's next, but this is about what's happening right now. Because these are the creators that are on the front lines, that are making trends like right in front of your face. And the intimate aspect of this, where 9 times out of 10, the person in the booth is the person that made everything that you're looking at.
Correct, yeah, and that's really it. Like, you're able to talk to the artists here. And it's funny because a lot of the entertainment companies that are at these other shows, they still come to our show.
Oh yeah.
And first and foremost, what I really want people to understand is, like, yes, this is a direct-to-consumer show, but first and foremost, DesignerCon has always been a show about networking.
Yes.
And the networking aspects of the show are incredible, especially for the artists. Because we have almost every single major studio, production company, publisher here on the floor walking with their representatives. And we've had artists tell us, like, yeah, I did great at sales, but I met the guys at Disney, or I met the guys at, Pixar, or the guys at, Warner Brothers were here, or I'm going to be doing things for Hot Topic, or, like, the list goes on and on and on. And that's really what the show is about. Like, yeah, it's fun to buy things,
right? But
it's also great to network.
I mean, me personally, I have 2 of my clients that are here this weekend that are just walking the floor.
Yeah.
One is the biggest streaming network, and the other one is from one of the biggest video game companies.
Ooh.
And they're just walking the floor, looking around, seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
And I know that that's just 2 people that I know that are here, times so many more that know that this is a good place to walk around and look for talent.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the licensing departments from almost every single major studio and production company, I know from the list of industry passes that we give out, they're all here.
So that was obviously a big part of being in Southern California, because I joined you guys in 2016 in Pasadena.
Thank you.
And we just grew and grew and grew. Then we ended up down in Anaheim,
yes,
which was awesome. But in Southern California, it's very easy to get entertainment people to pop up in something. So when you made the bet to go to Vegas, there was 2 sort of concerns. Will fans, the consumers, will they fly out here, drive out here, put all the extra effort into on the decon, and will the industry still come? And we're early in on the first full day, but it seems like that bet is paid off and people are showing up.
The fans are here. So first off, I gotta say to all the Vegas locals that made it out here, thank you to you guys, because you're supporting this scene. And we know by talking to just the locals, they wanted this. They wanted something like DesignerCon in Vegas.
Right.
The messaging that we were getting from a lot of vendors was like, there's never been a direct-to-consumer show that is able to make it in the city. So how the heck are you going to do that? And we're like, we have the fans. We have the fans. We have the companies behind us. We have the artists. We're just gonna, and I always said this, when we moved from Pasadena to Anaheim, and we moved from Anaheim to here, it's like, it doesn't matter where the show is, the real show is inside the hall.
Right.
So the fans bring it. As long as we can get those fans, the show will be the same. You'll still feel that vibe. I mean, you can tell on the floor right now, like, it's packed. It's full of people, full of happy fans and all that. So it really did work. And it's incredible, but Vegas pulled it off.
I mean, the show, DesignerCon, has seemed somewhat bulletproof because we did it right out of a pandemic.
We did.
People showed up, we all wore masks, we stayed away from each other, we gave bro hugs instead of real hugs, but we made it through that year. And even due to a bad hand of the cards from Anaheim,
yes,
we did it the weekend before Christmas,
yes,
which is, typically a little bit too close, but we still made it and had a lot of people show up. So it does seem like over the span of these years, the DesignerCon does have a fan base that's willing to travel. Let's talk a little bit about Las Vegas and its transformation.
Oh, yeah.
It does seem like over the span of the last decade, Las Vegas has really worked on putting the culture into this city.
Yeah.
I remember when I was seeing that Life is Beautiful was happening here and other big scale events, and it feels like DesignerCon is just one more of those bricks in the wall of this city starting to have its own identity outside of what it's typically known for.
Yeah. So Las Vegas, automatically it's known as the convention capital of the world. So easy to put on a show here, but yeah, it's it's become completely different over the past few years because the city has really gone out of its way to bring in an artistic aspect. I mean, even if you look at the area that we're in, because we're at the World Market Center, the Expo at World Market Center, which a lot of people are like, where the heck is that, right? Is that the convention center? It's like, no, we're really close to the Arts District. The Arts District in Las Vegas? What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, the plaza has the Obey murals and Deface and Fail. Like, what? What are you talking about? It's like, Vegas has really gone out of its way to bring in the artistic community. And they have really helped us bring this show here. I mean, you know, it's like we have to do a lot of it, but like they were very like, yeah, whatever you guys need, we'll make it possible. Vegas as a whole in the city, like they are building an art museum, like an official Las Vegas art museum. They're building out their entire art community. There's an arts district. You know, like even the area that we're in here is still being developed. Like Symphony Park is still being developed. They're building more hotels around it. Like this city has really gone out of its way to embrace this, and because of that, we're embracing it too.
So we know that even though all of our friends are some of the most creative people in the world, they're still humans. They're still skeptics.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes because they have so many risks in their lives, they're the biggest skeptics. So this was what my year was like with DesignerCon, and I think it might be the same for you. It was, man, that's not gonna work, that's crazy, what are they doing? To then people being like, how's it going? Like the like first it was doubt, then it was curiosity, and then the last month, everybody who didn't bite, it's been nothing but FOMO. Like, I think I need to come out. And there's been a lot of people in the last month, you know, industry people and people that display here, they're like, I think I need to make a push to go out to DesignerCon.
Well, the good thing is that from the beginning, everybody was optimistic. There was never this like, oh man, it's gonna fail. It's gonna fail. It's like everybody was like, this may work, we're gonna see how it goes. So there was always a good round of optimism. And then, I mean, we had to do our job at DesignerCon, and that was getting all the vendors and the artists to agree to come here because, you know, if you build it, they will come.
Right.
So we did our part. And honestly, what was happening that we saw was when we talked to these larger companies out of Asia, brands that are out here, when we told them that we're doing the show in Vegas, they were like, ooh, Vegas, nice. Yeah, we're coming. We're gonna come. Like, most of these guys have never been to Vegas.
Yeah.
So they were actually excited. And once we got these brands on board, once we got the artists on board, once we confirmed, you know, everything, like that's when it really started to show like this is going to be a great show. We've got these brands, we've got this artist signing, we've got this artist, we've got this product, we've got this exclusive, we've got this release, and this is the result. And then that results in the FOMO because social media builds up and everybody's like, oh my God, they're gonna have that? Like, yeah, I'm gonna take that 35-minute flight. Yeah. I'm gonna come to Vegas. Like, and here we are today.
And so many of the people that I'm considering the FOMO crowd, there are people where DesignerCon has been part of their fall for years now.
Yes.
And all of a sudden the date's coming up, we're getting close to Thanksgiving, we're getting that holiday, like, oh shit, like I don't want to go a fall without DesignerCon.
Yes, yeah, so we've had a lot of people like come up to us and say, yeah, it's our 10th year, it's our 15th year. It's
right.
Like, and they're like, yeah, we were doubtful, but you know, like flights are cheap, or it's like, yeah, it's a 3.5 hour car ride. So it really is easy to get out here if you really want to come. It's not that bad. We've actually had people tell us it was faster and easier to get here than it was to get to Anaheim.
I believe that.
So with the traffic in LA, if anybody knows, then you know. But yeah, it's a nice ride actually.
This is my guesstimate on the 3-year trajectory of DesignerCon, and you tell me where I go.
Here we go.
This year is the Vegas proof of concept. And this year really depended on artists signing up and displaying, and Vegas coming out and showing a loyalty.
Thank you.
And I think that next year what we'll see is more people traveling out. I think we'll get more people who will take the flight or take the drive. Yeah. I think we'll get more vendors, and vendors will go harder and try to get bigger booths, and we'll get a little bit more pop culture-ish in here. Yep. And I think by year 3, it will be in a moment where the Vegas plan will fully set in because it is way cheaper to fly here. It is way cheaper and easier to get a hotel room here.
Oh, yeah.
And there's lots of entertainment going on. So whereas after a while you're going to bastardize the Southern California region, I think here there's a moment for DesignerCon to just grow and grow and grow. Because I always try to think about the guy in Ohio.
Yeah.
And how do you bring the guy from Ohio out? You know, and I think that this makes DesignerCon not a regional arts conference, but a national conference. Just by going a couple hundred miles away, I think it makes this a national conference.
I hope so. I mean, it's more of an international conference. I mean,
That's true too.
most, like, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of the vendors are from different parts of the world. They're not US based. And, you know, they're telling us, yeah, it was easy to get here. So we love that. And yeah, like, everybody knows it's so easy to get to Las Vegas from anywhere in the country. So I hope you're right. I hope that is the plan. I hope it works out that way for us. And we want to keep growing the show and keep the fans coming, and we're going to keep bringing the heat.
I mean, I have so many different both attendees and designers ask me if there's a show I can go to, which one would you recommend? And I always say DesignerCon. And I always say, look, I work with them, so you got to throw that out the window. But in all honesty, it's the most approachable show. It's the friendliest show.
Thank you.
And if you're somebody who's looking to get discovered, I feel like if you're a vendor, the discoverability of here is huge. Because I've seen it happen firsthand, you know?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, we like to think that we are. You know, we try to keep it friendly, and most of the fans keep it friendly. I mean, some of the lines get a little crazy. But yeah, it's still, at the end of the day, it's a fun show. And, you know, if you don't get that one thing at that one booth, well, guess what? There's like 500 other booths that you can get really cool stuff at. So, yeah,
So,
it's a blast.
Two things I always like to ask every year.
Okay.
One, when were you able to excel? Like, when did you finally feel like with Vegas Gamble you were gonna win?
Oh man. Because you know, as the guy who puts on the show, I have sleepless, stressful nights, basically up until the day of the show. Because even though like we see numbers and everything like that, it doesn't mean anything until like people actually show up. So I think by Friday VIP night, when we opened up the doors and we saw the people coming in, and people were like, "Oh my God, this is great! This is just like Anaheim. This is better than Anaheim. Is this bigger than Anaheim?" It's like, no, it's about the same size. So when I saw that positive feedback, literally last night, Friday night, VIP night, that was like, okay, I think we're okay. I think we're good.
Yeah. When I started seeing my peers have FOMO, and when I rolled up last night and I saw how long the VIP line was, I'm like, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. That's when I knew that it was gonna happen.
I was, so last night after the show, we took our crew out to dinner. It was like close to like 11 o'clock at night after we closed up everything. I remember just scrolling through all the tag Instagram, you know, messages, and there's hundreds, if not thousands, because it just kept going and going and going and going and going and going. And I'm like, wow, this is working. This is good.
That's great. My last question for you, I always like to ask you this. If I talk to you at the end of the night on Sunday, all of this would be a success if this happens.
If everyone says, I can't wait till next year.
Hell yeah.
That's all I want to hear. Like, that is the golden thing for me. Just everybody leave the show and say, what's the dates next year? Can I buy the tickets now? Can I sign up as a vendor now? I cannot wait. I want to book my flight now. I want to book my hotel now.
I want public dates.
November 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2025, the 20th anniversary of DesignerCon happening here at the World Market Center, the Expo at the World Market Center here in fabulous Las Vegas.
With everybody who's in the crowd, put your hand up if this is your first DCon, if this is your first time ever here.
Thank you, guys.
Hi guys, welcome. Good to see you. Ben, thank you so much, brother. Thanks for letting me be a part of it. I look forward to it. We're gonna have a good week.
I hope so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.